Hey folks, welcome down to the second game of the second day of Grits and Glory, the 2012 WFTDA Championship. I'm John Maddening, joined by the lovely and talented Ms. Spider.
Hello all.
Fantastic. Well, we've seen a great first game today, and we're hoping that tonight will be, or today, this game at noon, 11 Central Time, or it's 9 a.m. back where you're from.
It absolutely
Hopefully some
is.
folks from Ole got up and are huddled around some computers watching.
Well, Ole routinely gets up on Sunday morning to practice at 8 a.m., so
this
should be no different.
Of course they do. All right, Minnesota takes the line with a Naptown fence situation right in front. We have Harmony Killebrews for the Minnesota Roller Girls up against number 3 for the lovely and talented Ole Rollers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Atomatrix.
It is Atomatrix number 03, lined up again against Harmony Killebrews. Harmony Killebrews actually skating for Ole for a season.
Yep.
She moved to Olympia for a year and skated with Ole, so it's kind of an interesting turn of events now that they're going head-to-head.
Yeah, and went head-to-head earlier this summer when Minnesota did the Pacific Northwest trip. Played Rose City, Ole, and Rat City. Ended up losing to Ole by 60 points, approximately 60 points. But that, of course, was before the controversial transfers that came in.
Controversy.
That's a Prince song, by the way. Prince is from Minnesota. There we go. So Ole has only ever lost in the postseason. They have an amazing 18-3 lifetime postseason record. They've been in the top 2 since 2009.
That's absolutely
Minnesota
right.
was number 4 in the initial tournament in 2006. Didn't qualify for the next 3 years, but they were one and done in 2010. They made it to the second round in 2011, last year when they lost in their second game to Texecutioners. Can they make it to 3? I guess we're going to see. We'll be starting in just about 14 seconds. Now, another interesting thing is Ole, on their home track, skates on a very nice wood floor. A classic wood floor. Minnesota skates on polished concrete. We got Sport Court here. Neither of these teams practice on Sport Court. Neither of these teams play on Sport Court generally. It's not their preferred surface for either of these teams.
That's true. Although Ole does go out of their way in tournament season to get ready, and they will go to different venues to practice on different floor types.
And the thing about this court is you never know what kind of court you're going to get.
That's right. Atomatrix trying to bust through that back wall. Huge defensive wall by Minnesota there at the back.
Looks like Harmony Killebrews got pushed to the outside in turn 1. Atomatrix makes it through and is your first lead jammer. Atomatrix for the Ole Rollers.
Have Joy Collision working out the front of the pack, and new to the Ole Rollers, although on the roster since January, Deranged, number 27. She is skating and on the floor right now as a blocker for Ole.
Oh, and a nice little twist there. Got knocked around a bit on between turns 1 and 2. Harmony Killebrews did. Has to recycle the back of the pack and try once again. Atomatrix on her scoring pass now, trying to make her way through. Nice little push out there by Deranged. Little backwards booty block.
Joy Collision with a huge hit, and then nice move in by Diamond Ruff to take out Joy Collision.
And we have 4 points on Atomatrix there. She would have been a grand slam, but she did have a minor track cut there.
She's now encroaching on the back of the pack to go on her second scoring pass. We'll see if she can actually make it around all 5 skaters legally to put 5 points on the scoreboard. Oh.
Harmony still, and this time up, that ended that. So 0 points for Minnesota, 4 points on the board for the Ole Rollers. 28:41 to go in this first half.
And if you're just tuning in and you're watching, Ole is wearing the brown with white accents, Minnesota with blue and green.
Or Aqua and Army, we like to. That's our preferred color. It's okay. The Aquaman Army, as somebody on DNN put it.
Fair enough.
All right, Lexicutor number 187 for Minnesota. She's going up against Anda Sly, another transfer and a fantastic one. We got to see her play when we were in Ole a couple months ago. Fantastic skater. Came out from out of nowhere.
Well, she wasn't really out of nowhere on the Pacific Northwest scene because she's such a talented hockey skater, and she was on Slaughter County Roller Vixens, another WFTDA team in the Pacific Northwest, and then transferred just this season to Ole.
And she's up at the front of the pack already. And Naughty Kitty and Buzz Tiger have to let her go. Ole playing an excellent defensive game. Lexicutor still has not made it through. Minnesota's jammer has not made it through a pack yet.
And you'll see that nice 2-wall at the front with Tannibal Lecter and Sassy. Sassy, the pivot here for Ole. This is the first game for Tannibal Lecter after having her recent child.
Yeah, that was just only about 4 weeks ago. Wow. She's like Wolverine.
Nice wall again by Sassy and Lil Tonka. And on to Sly, just pushing her way on the inside to pull that full 5 points on the scoreboard for the Ole Rollers. That's 16 for Ole, 0 for Minnesota.
And Lexicutor is biding her time, kind of looking to see where she can go. See if we can get the Great Wall of St. Paul to move something up. And they make the move. Shiva Shankin knocks one out. But then, wow, Hockey Honey again doing a one-woman army, holding her back, and moves over
and a beautiful,
to Sassy.
A beautiful pirouette there by Onda Sly as she sort of curtsies around, does a little dance move, again displaying those hockey skills.
So that is 21-0 in favor of the Ole Rollers as the fourth jam is about to begin. Medusa now on the line for Minnesota.
First time at the line here for Ole. Oh, and you're going to watch her right here.
Wow, just kind of zooming through. Some amazing skating there by Onda Sly.
First time as the jammer today for Ole is Psychobabble, and she gets pushed to the infield, recycles way back to the back of the pack.
But a nice job of avoiding that cut. She was only about an inch away from running back in. So a good speed, good skating ability there. And she manages to get lead jammer Psychobabble, number 21 for the Ole Rollers in brown.
Chikachula doing some work there in the pack, trying to stave off the jammer for Minnesota.
Oh, and a nice little takeout there. Medusa got pushed out, but Minnesota ended up knocking out the one to push her out, so she was not having to go all the way to the back of the pack.
As Psychobabble did a nice maneuver around Shiver Me Kimbers.
Another 5 points.
Ole increasing their lead here, sitting at 26, Minnesota at 0.
Medusa now up at the 3 wall at the front of that Ole pack as Gertrude Stein has to take a seat. Minnesota down by 1 blocker now. Ole has the blocker advantage, and that'll end that jam with another 4 points on the board, bringing Ole up to 30.
Onda Sly doing a nice job putting 15 points on the scoreboard for the Ole Rollers. Atomatrix at 6.
Harmony Killabrews up against Atomatrix.
A familiar coupling.
Yeah, just like that first jam all over again, only of course Minnesota hopes that it won't go exactly like the first jam went.
Indeed. Ole all taking that intentional knee, at least it looks like, to force the immediate second whistle. There it is for that no-pack call. Hockey Honey staving off Harmony Killabrews and knocking her to the infield and doing a nice job maintaining balance and positional blocking in front of her.
No, Hockey Honey has been doing a great job just blocking really on her own. Jukebox there trying to force the cut, but Atomatrix manages to stay in bounds and become lead jammer once again for Ole.
Oh, Harmony Killabrews trying to skirt around Hockey Honey. Hockey Honey with a huge shoulder check to the infield on Harmony Killabrews. We are going to have Hockey Honey headed to the penalty box for Ole. However, Atomatrix pulls through and puts 5 points on the scoreboard.
That's right. So both teams down to 3 blockers, so a little lighter pack. Statistically, that would make it easier for jammers to get through, but Harmony's still having a little bit of a tough time here.
Oh, Atomatrix with a genius juke to the right as she pulls through.
And another 5 points. That's going to bring Ole up to 40. Minnesota still has yet to score. And Onda Sly is on the line for Ole once again. And she's going up against Lexicutor. I think that a lot of these jammer pairings are going to be very familiar by the end of the game.
Similar jammer rotations, and unless they send in a switch hitter, which is, Ole has a deep bench as far as jammers go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Minnesota as well. A lot of folks that don't necessarily jam on their home teams will jam here, and people who jam on their home teams will block here. It's kind of mixing it up. Oh. And there we go. The crowd erupts as Minnesota gets their first lead jam of the game. That is Lexicutor, but followed very closely by Onda Sly. First a third of the track, now a quarter of the track, catching up to Lexicutor. Lexicutor's probably just going to try and get through 1 or 2 skaters and call it. And she does.
Ole doing a nice job. Joy Collision and Echo protecting the points at the front of the pack. However, Psychobabble was hung back, and I think Minnesota picked up 3 points.
Minnesota picked up 3 points, but more importantly, I think for Minnesota, they blanked Ole for the first time for the first jam this game, and that is the kind of niche, that kind of little tiny crack in the armor that Minnesota, that a team that on paper is quite a bit below Ole in terms of skill on the track right now. That's what they need. That's what they need to say, you know what, they are not invincible, we can take them.
Sassy and Tannibal Lecter holding the front line for Ole. Sassy doing that positional block as the pivot for the Ole Rollers.
Bit of a tumble there. Second hand smoke, making her way through, but falls just in front of Tannibal Lecter and allows Ole to recycle there a little bit. She's going to go all the way to the back of the pack, but she has made her initial pass, so she is your lead jammer. And this time it's a little bit easier, but no, gets pushed out again, this time by Sassy.
As Tannibal Lecter, number 9, heads to the penalty box for the Ole Rollers. Lil Tonka now working at the front to create some room for
Sassy as well.
Matrix.
Sassy as well heading to the box. So this is going to be a definite advantage blocker-wise for Minnesota. No points scored that last jam. Harmony Killebrews for Minnesota up against number 2X, Scared to Death. That would be her first jamming appearance to this morning.
It would be.
It is morning for both of our our internal body clocks. Yeah.
First time at the line again for Scared to Death, and I was talking earlier about the jammer rotation and how Ole can pinch hit and put someone else in and change up that line. We're going to see how successful Scared to Death is going to be. She gets actually pushed to the inside by Gertrude Stein.
Splitting it up a little bit, and Harmony Killebrews, once again, this entire crowd, it seems, is cheering for Minnesota. It's amazing.
And Harmony Killebrew is very happy with that maneuvering, and she definitely got the crowd response.
A nice tap out there by Joy Collision.
Scared to Death, still struggling to get through. She's stuck behind that huge wall of Minnesota at the back of the pack. Harmony Killebrew is now going in for a scoring pass.
Oh, and a spin. And that's going to be a low block penalty on Ole. That's a grand slam for Minnesota. Low block penalty on Joy Collision, who takes a seat just as the 10-second mark hits.
Well, and this is exactly what Minnesota's looking for, because if you can foul out and draw those penalties on Ole, sometimes Ole gets into penalty trouble in the second half. So
absolutely right. Oh, and then one more, I believe, another low block penalty on Ole.
Psychobabble headed towards the box. She will have some room to sit down as Sassy, number 2, the pivot for Ole, is released. Harmony Killebrews pulls through for 5 points on the scoreboard. That's going to bring Minnesota to 13, Ole to 40.
Minnesota once more, here they go. Minnesota slows down the pack, trying to help her out. Jukebox at the front of the pack, trying to stop that last few Ole blockers up at the front, now reforms.
And Sassy going to go back and try to assist Scared to Death at the back of the pack, but we have Harmony Killebrews through for Minnesota for another 5 points on the scoreboard.
15-point jam there, wow.
Scared to Death holding the back line, and she's going to try to run some defensive moves here on Harmony Killebrews. Unsuccessful in that row.
Oh boy, one more, 20 points as the jam clock expires. Minnesota with a 20-point jam, up to 23, and just like that, they're back in it.
I know it's been said before, but honestly, it could take just one jam to make the pivotal difference for a team. And Harmony Killebrews, a force to be reckoned with as she racks up the points, bringing Minnesota to 23. Ole sitting at 40 with 18 minutes, 35 seconds left in the first period. On to Sly now skating as the jammer for Ole. Hockey Honey working with Sassy at the front of the pack, trying to stave off the jammer for Minnesota. Oh!
Minnesota makes it, but on to Sly, gets in front, so Lexi will call it off. No, you're absolutely right. You saw that last game where Bay Area just took a commanding lead in the initial minutes, but then nearing the half, Killbox with that fantastic, I believe something up in the near 45 points. An amazing jam. She ended up the game with, I believe, 103 points, but it's just one of those kind of killing blows, and it did take Bay Area a long time to not make it, but that was the kind of impetus for the Texas win there.
Adametrix getting kicked to the floor near the apex between turn 1 and turn 2. Joy Collision holding the front line as the pivot for the Ole Rollers, knocking out Medusa, and Adametrix pulls through on the outside lane to take lead jammer status for the Ole Rollers.
Medusa was trying to get through the inside there, but Joy Collision, spun around, trying to jump around to her right. Ended up tangling.
And with a nice hit there as Lil Tonka, last line of defense, forced to allow the jammer from Minnesota to pass on through. Adametrix now through on her scoring pass. She's going to hit it and quit it.
That's right. But this time, Minnesota is able to force her to call it after just one pass. Got to get through. Got to keep on getting through. You don't get that lead jam. You got to keep on getting through and just intimidate that jammer into calling it off. The lead jammer into calling it off. This time on to Sly for Ole, up against Harmony Killebrews, number 75 for Minnesota. On to Sly is number 66. Minnesota's in the aqua and army, or blue and green, as the layman says.
That's right.
And Ole is in the brown and white.
Harmony Killebrews, when they skated against defeated KCR Dub, was the highest scoring jammer, and we do have on to Sly just making quick use, pulling through for lead jammer status for the Ole Rollers.
A little 360 in the air there. Amazing move. Oh, and that time she made it around the outside, just past Jukebox.
Tannibal Lecter, Sassy, and Hockey Honey. We are going to have Tannibal Lecter, second trip to the box for her. She takes the seat for the Ole Rollers. Harmony Killebrew is able to pull through on her non-scoring passes. On to Sly, gets kicked out by Diamond Ruff.
Trying to force that cut there. Boom. 4 points for Minnesota, 4 points for Harmony Killebrews there.
And on to Sly, now struggling with that defensive wall at the back of Minnesota. She
ducks under.
Did a duck. She's going to pull through for 4 more points. That's going to bring Ole to 53 points, Minnesota to 27 with 15 minutes, 37 seconds left on the period clock. Ole's going to send in Psychobabble, number 21, as the jammer.
And she is up against Lexecutor, number 187 for Minnesota. Ole with 1 blocker in the box. That would be Tannibal Lecter. And watching that replay, oh, we just missed it. Sorry, folks. There are many things to see here, if you imagine.
Chikachula and Derange working on the inside to try to stave off Lexecutor. Lexecutor trying to find a window there between them. And Derange and Chikachula, number 13, working well in tandem with one another.
Lexecutor kind of juking back and forth, not committing, and finally making it through. Lead jammer, Lexecutor, lead jam, Minnesota Roller Girls.
Nice shutout at the back there by Buzz Tightear on Psychobabble. Psychobabble now functioning as a blocker.
Lexecutor now making her move. Pack is split a bit. Nice little jump there by Psychobabble, avoiding that last Minnesota blocker.
Psychobabble is through.
And pushed way to the back, and eventually does call it off, noticing that Psychobabble was coming up.
And that was 10-16 Buzz Tight Rear. My apologies.
All right, so the score as it stands with 14 minutes to go in the first half, as you see the pasty flesh of the Minnesotans. The Ole Rollers lead 53 to the Minnesota Roller Girls 31. Both teams have their full complement of timeouts, or times out, depending on your grasp of the English language. Mine is questionable. Joy Collision up against Secondhand Smoke.
It's first time Joy Collision has donned the star for the Ole Rollers. She's going to take a spill right before turn 1.
A nice little tap there by Hockey Honey. Hockey Honey is doing a great job of not necessarily big hits, but perfectly placed hits. Just knocking her out just a little tiny bit. Shiver Me Kimber is going to take a trip to the box as Minnesota takes it. Secondhand Smoke, number 9, formerly Kilimanjaro, if you might have seen her in previous years. She is your lead jammer for the Minnesota Roller Girls.
Joy Collision making it through on her non-scoring pass. However, Secondhand Smoke now pulling up to the back of the pack, trying to go on a scoring run. Nice shutdown on
And
Echo.
calls it. 3 points for Minnesota there. 3 points for Secondhand Smoke. Rydell is the official skate of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. Unmatched quality, unmatched performance. RydellSkates.com. Rydell Skates, of course, made in beautiful Red Wing, Minnesota. And if you'd like to talk to us, if you'd like to give a shout out to your viewing party, wherever you are around this Derby world, just give this the hashtag Talk2, that's the number 2, WFTDA on your old Tweety box.
We now have an official timeout.
Well, at official timeout, we'd like to talk about Iron Doll Clothing. They give custom uniforms for the modern roller girl and referee, lifting and separating since 2009. IronDollClothing.com.
If you just tuned in, Ole sitting at 53, Minnesota at 34 with 12 minutes, 36 seconds left on the first period clock. And initially, Ole taking that huge point run and Minnesota able to come back. So Atomatrix trying to get around on the apex there on the inside line. She gets shut down. She changes it up, tries to go through on the outside, trying to push her way around the pivot. Jukebox gets recycled to the back of the pack.
Oh, and a nice little hit there by Gertrude Stein once again. Last line of defense for Minnesota up at the front, then recycles back in the pack. Oh, cuts through. Oh, she managed to stay on one skate, almost going out. Wow. Harmony Killebrews, lead jammer for Minnesota.
Atomatrix swiftly encroaching. She says, I'm coming for you, Harmony. Ole doing a nice job again, protecting the points at the front of the pack with Chikachula, Tannibal Lecter, and Stella Baracha, number 43. We're going to have 4 points for Minnesota, 1 point for Ole. It's going to bring Ole to 54. Minnesota sitting at 38 with 11 minutes, 40 seconds left on the first period clock.
Yeah, sometimes you want to take that gamble. Last night, actually, in Minnesota's game, didn't necessarily work out as well, but this time it worked. You see somebody coming behind you, you think, I think I can get past more of them than they can get past of us. This time it worked. 3-1 for Minnesota that last jam. Lexicutor on the line now for Minnesota.
Psychobabble number 21 for the Ole Rollers. Hockey Honey currently sitting in the penalty box, so pack advantage in favor of Minnesota as they all take that knee to potentially force that immediate second whistle, and there it is. Oh, Lexicutor trying to make her way around Psychobabble and Sassy. Sassy, the pivot, number 2 for the Ole Rollers.
Oh. And it looks like a multiplayer block.
And a power jam for Minnesota as Psychobabble is sent to the penalty box for a forearm major as Hockey Honey is then released. But this is an opportunity for Lexicutor.
And a forearm on Echo, major forearm, so that's going to fill that up. Lexicutor, lead jammer for Minnesota.
Deranged, Sassy, and Hockey Honey working in the front of the pack there for the Ole Rollers. Again, Lexicutor with a huge advantage here and an opportunity to take control here for Minnesota.
Scarman Electra wearing the pivot cover, doing a great job of actually being the pivot, being the commander-in-chief on the track, giving orders to the rest of her blocker crew. Fantastic job there. Moving them around, changing position, moving in place on the track to help the jammer and block those opposing players.
And even though Lexicutor, the solitary jammer on the track, Ole really making her work to try to get through. Hockey Honey with nice recycling there, trying to maintain that positional block in front of Lexicutor. Sassy maintaining position as the pivot for Ole.
Well, and Ole has done, the conventional wisdom, the kind of dig at Ole in the past has been, they're fantastic skaters, they're very fast skaters, but they're not great at roller derby. But it shows they've been working a lot at the blocking, at the hitting, doing a great job, and Ole might be even more dangerous than in the past.
So Lexicutor through for a 5-point scoring pass as Psychobabble then released from the penalty box and getting through on her initial pass. 10 minutes, 1 second left on the first period clock. Ole sitting at 54, Minnesota at 43. Each team still with 3 timeouts left.
Green Monster Roller Sports. If you're skating on crap, it's not from Green Monster. GreenMonster.com. Just drop the vowels. GreenMonster.com.
So here's an interesting changeup. We're going to have Tannibal Lecter, number 9, jamming for the Ole Rollers. You'll see Derange picking up that 4th minor Legion procedure as she sits in the penalty box.
Yeah, Ole's going to want to come at, she'll sit right now. Ole's going to want to come into the second half very, very strong and start off the second half like they started off this first half. So they want to make sure that they have all of their weapons in their arsenal ready to go without these 3 penalties sitting on them.
Yeah, and unofficial stats say that Hockey Honey's been to the box twice. Tannibal Lecter's been to the box twice. Minnesota very low on penalties with Gertrude Stein, and Shiver Me Kimber's going to the penalty box once, but Tannibal Lecter pulls through. Number 9 for the Ole Rollers to take lead jammer position. Lil Tonka, Joy Collusion, and Chikachula running the front wall there for the Ole Rollers.
And doing just a fantastic job of it, holding back Medusa, who has yet to make her initial pass. And I spoke too soon. There she goes. Medusa now make it through. Medusa now able to score. But yeah, putting in Tannibal Lecter as a jammer really worked this time, especially on a low velocity game here, or this particular jam.
4 more points put on the scoreboard for the Ole Rollers by Tannibal Lecter, number 9. Tannibal, just known for her versatile skating ability. She can maintain any position. You can field her as blocker 1, 2, 3, and she can come in as the jammer.
One big shout out to the fine folks from the Paper Valley Roller Girls in Des Plaines, Wisconsin. And of course, another Frenchy name, Montreal, Canada. I butchered it, I'm sorry. Also, some fine folks in Terminal City, that's Vancouver, British Columbia, and Crossroads City Derby in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and of course, some fine folks in Minnesota giving us a shout out as well. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, for whatever you're watching. If you're at a bar, if you're at your house, if you're just listening in your car, and I hope you're not watching your smartphone while you're driving, thanks for watching on WFTDA.tv.
The Ole Rollers sitting at 58 points, Minnesota at 43, 7 minutes, 32 seconds left on the first period clock. On to Sly, number 66, now fielded as the jammer for the Ole Rollers.
Yep, Minnesota back up to full strength there.
And Harmony Killebrews is donning the star for Minnesota. Initial lead off the line is on to Sly. She's going to hit the back of the pack first. Harmony Killebrews, though.
Oh, boy.
She gets caught up behind Sassy. The pivot for the Ole Rollers. She is going to make it through. On to Sly's not going to waste any time.
And Harmony claps for her for calling it off.
Thank you so much.
No love lost between these two teams. All right, Deranged on the line for Ye Old Ole Rollers.
Secondhand smoke number 9 for Minnesota. You are going to see Lexi Cuter and On to Sly both pulling back to the back of the pack to incur that 4th minor to just get those out of the way. Oh, maybe not. Gino Guerrero, the bench coach there for the Ole Rollers, sending On to Sly back to the bench. 4th minor on Lex Cuter. She's going to have a seat. And we do have Deranged pull through right after turn 2 to take lead jammer status for the Ole Rollers.
But then right behind her, Secondhand Smoke getting down really low, that speed skating position that Ole is so familiar with. Oh, it passes her.
Tannibal Lecter, Joy Collision, and Echo working the front of the pack there for the Ole Rollers. Deranged getting hung up at the back of the pack there.
And she's made it through. 4 points for Minnesota, 4 points for Ole.
So a 0-point differential on that scoring pass. Ole's going to now be at 62. Minnesota sitting at 47. And again, neither team utilizing those team timeouts.
Looks like On to Sly is going to be taking her intentional 4th minor here, as number 3, Adam Matrix, and number 75, Harmony Killebrews, will be taking the jammer lines for Minnesota, or for Ole and Minnesota respectively. Lexecutor in the box now for Minnesota. She's got about, a few seconds left on her timeout. 62-47 right now, a 15-point differential in favor of Ole. Both teams have their full complement of timeouts. 5 minutes, 23 seconds remaining in this period.
Harmony Killebrews putting 28 points on the scoreboard for Minnesota thus far. Minnesota wisely fielding her once again, hoping she can capitalize.
And kind of holding back, wanting to make sure they want to get their full complement of players out there. Lexecutor is now back in. So Minnesota begins to skate forward. Take the knee, and pass. There we go.
Adametrix skirting around Harmony Killebrews there, and she's going to make her way through on the inside line to take lead jammer status on behalf of the Ole Rollers. That's number 03, Adametrix. Sassy, again, the pivot for the Ole Rollers holding that front line. Hockey Honey Lil Tonka working at the back is On to Sly, currently sitting in the penalty box.
Yeah, all that time there, and it did not work for Minnesota that time. 5-point grand slam there for Adametrix.
Hockey Honey now getting run into a trap at the back of the pack there. On to Sly, release from the penalty box. She's going to come in as a reinforcement.
Adametrix, it looks like she's going to try to make it all the way through. She does, and just a quick close, very close. Harmony almost had that last player in line, but inches count. She can score points up to and including that 4th whistle after the lead jammer calls it off. And unfortunately for Minnesota, was not able to score a single point on that jam. Ole Rollers now sit at 71, Minnesota at 47.
3 minutes, 44 seconds left in the first period. Derange, number 27, is the jammer for the Ole Rollers, and Medusa, number 13, for Minnesota in the aqua.
And Derange does get past Diamond Ruff. They're held her back as long as humanly possible. Lead jammer for the Ole Rollers.
Joy Collision, Psychobabble working the front of the pack. Scared to Death now recycling to the front, as well as Tannibal Lecter, number 9. Derange getting caught up in a nice 2-wall there at the back by Minnesota.
Medusa still trying to make her move, but Ole doing a great job with that 3-wall up in front there. Being very, very nebulous, moving it around. And Medusa has finally made it through.
The pivot for Minnesota, Diamond Ruff, now headed to the penalty box. So Minnesota sans 2 blockers, so pack advantage in favor of Ole. Ole putting 5 more points on the scoreboard. That's going to bring Ole to 76. Minnesota at 47. 2 minutes, 47 seconds left on the first period clock. On to Sly, donning a star for the Ole Rollers, going up against 187 Lexicutor for Minnesota.
And Sassy grabs the pivot cover for Ole and hangs out behind the jammer line, so she gets her intentional 4th minor. Oh, on to Sly once again. Lead jammer for Ole. On to Sly has really been the superstar of this game for Ole so far. Doing a fantastic, fantastic job. Oh, look at that. Nice little pirouette as she jumps through. She not only has the great skating ability and the speed, but also power to just power her way through packs. So 2 points as the hook'em horns go up. 2 points for Minnesota, 4 points for Ole. 1 minute, 55 seconds, probably 1, maybe 2 jams left, depending on if one of these teams decides to use a timeout. Secondhand smoke on the line for Minnesota, up against number 27, Deranged, for the Ole Rollers. Both teams down by their pivots, as Sassy for Ole and Diamond Ruff for Minnesota are in the box, so a little bit of a light pack on both sides. We'll see to whose advantage that will work.
Psychobabble holding the inside line, trying to create some room there for Deranged. Works out in her favor. Deranged, number 27, pulls through for the Ole Rollers to take lead jammer status. And this is going to be a power jam. Secondhand smoke heads to the penalty box. This is not what Minnesota needed right now.
Especially at the end of the first period, because that's the kind of momentum. Even if you have a strong final jam at the end of the first period, you can use that mentally going into the second half. And this is not working well out for Minnesota right now. We'll see what happens. Still some time left on the board, but I don't think she's going to be calling it off anytime soon.
Nice.
Unless Minnesota can force a cut here, it's going to be a total Ole show for the rest of this period.
Tannibal Lecter looking to break up that wall in front. Psychobabble working to help Deranged. And we have Psychobabble headed to the penalty box. Pack advantage in favor of Minnesota.
With just about, it looks like it's actually exactly, the clocks are exactly lined up. So it'll hit 0 at exactly the lineup time. So that's another advantage for Ole. They'll start off another jam. And there, fantastic.
Nice maneuvering there by Deranged.
And that's, yep, she gets through there just as secondhand smoke gets called off.
Adametrix now in a power jam on behalf of the Ole Rollers.
Ole Rollers holding back, but Adametrix makes it through. Lead jammer in turn 1. Secondhand smoke is standing in the box. 10 seconds remaining on her penalty.
Adametrix now going to try to push her way through, and she jukes to the right, pulls around on the outside lane. She pulls 5 more points to put on the scoreboard for Ole, bringing them to 93, Minnesota at 49. And this is going to be the final jam in the first period. Oh, lovely.
Out of the box and into your hearts. There we go. Second hand smoke has made it through, but not before. Adametrix does call it off, and that's going to end the period. So at the half, Ole leads 97-49. Certainly better for Minnesota than what it looked like out of those first 4 jams.
And Minnesota able to really turn it around and maintain and hold the course there with Ole as they moved forward, and really shutting down Ole's scoring run.
Yep.
And
well, you know, and one never knows. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for the second half of the quarterfinals. Holy Rollers.
The second half of the second day.
Yes, second half of the second day of the quarterfinals. I was never really good at math, so thanks to all of our NSOs and stats people here who are. So Holy Rollers lead right now 97 to Minnesota's 49, so that's a 48-point lead right now. Certainly not insurmountable, as was evidenced last night by Naptown coming back from a 50-point deficit. It's actually 50-0 against Atlanta and taking that victory. So Psychobabble is leading the way in penalties for Ole right now. 3 minutes, 3 trips to the box.
I don't think that's the kind of lead you actually want to
well,
have.
you know. Yeah, this is like golf. You want the lower score.
Atomatrix actually coming in with a really strong performance.
Oh, absolutely.
39 points on the scoreboard for the Ole Rollers. Highest scoring jammer thus far in this bout. Harmony Killer Brews coming in really close to that with 28 points on the scoreboard.
And 20 of those were from one jam. Also, Hannibal Lecter coming back from 28 days ago, I believe, was when she had a baby. And she is out on the track and looking like she has not missed a step.
Absolutely. She maintained going to practice and participating with the league in all of the practices during her pregnancy. She was non-contact, but she was definitely a participant in all of that. You have a screenshot now of the Ole Rollers, Deranged, Stella Baracha, Intended Anger, Hockey Honey, Lil Tonka, Hannibal Lecter, Sassy, Atomatrix there, all at the line.
Ready for their ref equipment check.
Nicely done by Minnesota, maintaining those low penalties. Diamond Rough to the box twice.
Gertrude Stein and Secondhand Smoke as well.
Jukebox to the penalty box one time.
Yeah, Gertrude Stein and Diamond Rough have led Minnesota in total jams with 13 and 12 respectively. Psychobabble, Hockey Honey, and Hannibal Lecter each have either 13 or 12 as well. So a lot of teams relying on certain blockers, on certain jammers, getting out there and doing what they do best.
And if you just tuned back in, Minnesota is in the aqua, and Ole is in the brown and white. Ole sitting at 97 points, Minnesota at 49, and as we go into this fresh second half, Atomatrix lining up as the jammer for the Ole Rollers, going up against Harmony Killer Brews, number 75.
Former teammates, of course, when Harmony Killer Brews spent the 2010 season living in Ole and skating for the Ole Rollers.
She was my neighbor.
Aww.
Pack advantage in favor of Ole, and making easy use of that is Atomatrix as she pulls through on her initial pass, but Harmony Killer Brews not to be outdone as she races up trying to catch up with Atomatrix. Nice shutdown to the infield.
0-0, null. Good job by Minnesota there of forcing that call there, wanting to make sure that even if they're not going to score any points, that the other team is not going to score any as well.
And pack advantage again in favor of Ole, and you will see Psychobabble number 21 standing up, so she's getting ready to re-enter the pack, advancing that pack advantage in favor of Ole. Deranged is the jammer for the Ole Rollers. Lexecutor, oh wow. Wide open lane there on the inside as Deranged pulls through for lead jammer status.
Big, wide, like what's going on question there, but Lexecutor has made it through and is caught up. So we're gonna see, she calls it off. 0-0 once again, 2-0-0 jams to start the second half. Both teams rushing out to take that line.
I was somewhat perplexed about what just happened.
She was called lead jam and she said, why? Why?
She put her hands up. What just happened? It looked like she was having a conversation with her sister, Psychobabble, who was coming back into play. It was just interesting because it would have been a moment for Ole to capitalize on being in that lead jammer status, but
So looks like Jukebox and, oh boy, onto Sly. Goes around the outside there to get lead jam status before she even passed the pivot line.
Just another huge window of opportunity. There was no opposition on the outside lane. She just took advantage of it. Nice juke to the right as she comes back into pack play, but gets forced out of bounds.
And she cuts through. Oh, and a nice attempt at a cross check there by Secondhand Smoke, but onto Sly just avoids it. So Secondhand Smoke will have to settle for knocking down Joy Collision instead. Oh, and a nice another attempt there. Secondhand Smoke really doing these coming from out of nowhere hits or attempts at hits that are not really working on the Sly right now. But they look fantastic.
Scared to Death trying to go in and knock out Medusa, as Onda Sly doing another jump around Jukebox to pull through 4 or 5 points on the scoreboard for the Ole Rollers. That's going to bring Ole to 112 points, Minnesota 49.
Yeah, Jukebox and Diamond Rough back in from the box, but Secondhand Smoke to the box. So Minnesota still with that blocker disadvantage, 3-4.
And
as Onda Sly with another grand slam through, another 5 points for Ole. Ole passed the century mark in that jam, bringing them up now to 117. And as we're watching the replay, we're seeing Onda Sly get through just past. Oh, there's that nice attempt by Secondhand Smoke there, but just avoided it. A fantastic control skater. I just can't say enough about Onda Sly.
In that previous jam, you watched Echo and Scared to Death just stay out in front, lap after lap after lap. It was amazing teamwork at the front of the pack there. Another open window on the outside lane as Atomatrix makes easy use of that to take lead jammer status for the Ole Rollers.
Yeah, Ole was doing a great job of just getting on the line and wedging Minnesota to the inside, thus, and then allowing Atomatrix to cut around the outside before the jam whistle was blown, and just had a wide open hallway to get through.
Nice jammer awareness there by number 03, Atomatrix. She prevents Harmony Killerbrews from putting any points on the scoreboard, but Harmony Killerbrews doing a nice job forcing the issue and forcing Atomatrix to call off the jam. 3
points added to Ole Rollers total, 120-49. 26 minutes remaining in this second half. Thus, the whole game.
And here we go into another jam pack advantage in favor of Ole, 4-on-2.
I wonder if they're going to do the same thing here, because they seem to be running over. We'll see. Nope. Looks like she's actually going to make her way through, and she does very well. I think Minnesota might have been planning for a replay of that last jam and getting ready to go to the right, but Deranged just decides to go straight through and force the issue, as it were.
Deranged going to pull around Lexi Cuter as she pulls the full 5 points, I believe. Yep.
Buzz Tightrear making a little wedge, trying to force out the Ole blockers to the side, allowing Lexi Cuter to get through.
And Deranged now just burning time off the clock, just maintaining a little bit of advantage there in front of Lexi Cuter.
Lexi Cuter decides that, I've had enough of this. I'm going to try and get past you, but wow. Some great defensive blocking there by Deranged, holding back Lexi Cuter as Ole and Minnesota jump up.
And Deranged decides to make use of that as she uses her speed skating agility and speed as she pulls forward and just races now.
Yeah, Ole saw that Secondhand Smoke was out of the box, so they decided there's no time like the present, and they made a run for it to break up the front, and it totally worked.
Hockey Honey number 7 sitting in the box now for the Ole Rollers, the pack advantage in favor of Minnesota. Oh, nice maneuvering at the back by Deranged as she pulls around. Oh, huge takedown on Scared to Death on the straightaway. It's 2x for Ole.
Oh, it looks like she goes down here. Scared to Death. She went down on her front and rolled onto her back.
We do have a replay here of Deranged sitting on top of Lexi Cuter.
Just trying to get by there. Just doing a fantastic job of holding her back. The medics are taking a look at Scared to Death right now.
Scared to Death number 2X from the Ole Rollers. She did take a tough spill as she went down face first. She's taking off her helmet now. Tannibal Lecter, number 9, is an EMT as well, and she's now attending with the medics on the straightaway as Eric, the coach, also joins them.
It's always good to have skaters with special skills like that, and to have trainers, to have medics on the line for them, and it just really kind of brings hope. Brings together the whole DIY attitude of Derby. Everybody's in this together. Everybody's working together.
So the EMT is still attending to Scared to Death. She continues to lay trackside on the short straightaway. Cannibal Lecter now attending to Scared to Death's lower extremity, so it may be that she injured her right lower extremity. From this vantage point, though, there is a plethora of people impeding our viewpoint. Scared to Death is going to stand up.
All right. Medics are actually assisting her up, and we'll see if she decides to decline that wheelchair or not. I think there's
We're going to have her sit in the wheelchair, and it was her right lower extremity, so her right leg, so something involved on that side. On to Sly, donning the star. She takes a little check in there with Scared to Death before she heads to the line as the jammer for the Ole Rollers. She's going to go up against, that's Jukebox.
Oh, Jukebox making her first jamming appearance since I don't know when. I mean, really? No. She's she of course is an amazing jammer on her home team. Actually, she was on the Dagger Dolls and the Minnesota Roller Girls home team until she moved just this past season to the Atomic Bombshells. She has not actually played a game with the Bombshells, and she will make her first appearance with them next Saturday night in Minnesota. But she's been moving a lot to blocking during interleague play. And she's a fantastic leader on the track. She has a great mind for strategy. She has a great, she thinks very quickly, and she hits very hard, which is really all you want.
All the qualities that are essential for roller derby.
All right. It looks like Scared to Death is icing her knee as she gets wheeled off, her right knee. So they are going to have the medics take a look at her back stage here. I think she might have thought like she was just gonna sit with the rest of her team, because you never want to leave your team in a especially in a championship situation. But I think the medics decided to let's make sure you're going to be okay here. We want you to play another day. All right, so we are going to get started here very quickly. Ole leads 130 to Minnesota's 49. With 24 minutes, 18 seconds remaining in this game. You see the Minnesota fans there. And after the game against Kansas City, those Winter is Coming shirts kind of flew off the flew off their merch booth and completely sold out. So there's a lot, you see a lot of them around here. I think Minnesota kind of answered the question that was asked by Kansas City. Both medics have left the track, so we are waiting for a return of one. Before we can begin, we want to make absolutely sure that there is a medic, because Lord knows you have one injury on the track, that's bad enough, but we have the medics here. You want to make absolutely sure that if there's another one, that somebody's able to be taken care of.
Medusa pulled the intentional fourth minor. She's sitting in the penalty box. Oh! And
Jukebox with a little apex jump. In turn two, lead jammer for Minnesota. This is exactly what Minnesota needs. They need to get some momentum back. Secondhand Smoke holding back onto Sly. Oh, gets knocked out by number 9, Cannibal Lecter. Has forced through. Oh, another spin move as both Shiver Me Kimbers and Diamond Ruff.
And this is a power jam in favor of Onto Sly. So, oh no.
No, yeah, as both Jukebox and a Secondhand Smoke take a seat. No.
My apologies.
There was miscommunication on the track. Jukebox thought she had been called off, but it was actually Secondhand Smoke who was right behind her. We're going to take a look at the replay here as you watch Jukebox get that lead jam status, and unfortunately that was lost there by just confusion on the track.
Ole Rollers with slight pack advantage here with 3 on 2. Adam Matrix trying to go on the inside line. Harmony Kilgrews pulls around on the outside, taking the lead jammer status on behalf of Minnesota.
But Adam Matrix has now made it through that short Minnesota pack. Only 2 blockers on the track right now. Crust Almighty and Hertrude Stein up against 3 for Ole.
It's Hockey Honey, Echo, and Chica Chula, number 13 for the Ole Rollers.
Harmony just needs to pass 1 to get 2 points here. Getting that ghost point. Gets her hips in front of Hockey Honey. Picks up 2. 0 for Ole. Minnesota goes up. Ole stays at 130. 22 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in this game. Minnesota behind right now, 56 to Ole's 130. Both teams their full complement of timeouts, as we would say, up in the northern reaches.
We have Deranged donning the star for the Ole Rollers in the brown and white, and in aqua, Lexicutor number 187, both struggling to get through the pack. Psycho Bell maintaining position at the back of the pack to try to sit on top of Lexicutor. Deranged pulls through, but she does not take lead jammer status. She got a minor forearm penalty called on her.
So this just makes it more important now for Lexi to get lead jam status so she can call it off before Ole can score any more points. Gets through, doesn't notice, and calls it off. Will it be in time? It was in time. 0-0.
Naughty Kitty number 00 sitting in the penalty box for Minnesota. Sassy the pivot for the Ole Rollers number 2 standing up for her 10 seconds, getting ready to re-enter pack play. Ole sitting at 130, Minnesota at 56 with 21 minutes, 22 seconds left on the second period clock. Atomatrix number 03 fielded as the jammer for the Ole Rollers, and the second time at the line, that's Jukebox.
All right, second-hand Smoke still in the box. Looks like she got a 2-minute penalty back there. She is joined by Naughty Kitty, so Minnesota once again at only 2 blockers out here.
And second-hand Smoke, this is unofficial stats say it's her 5th trip to the penalty box. She's been in the penalty box 5 times, and we still have 21 minutes, 14 seconds left on the second period clock. And that might be the switch that Minnesota made from second-hand Smoke being fielded as the jammer so frequently to Jukebox. So flipping the switch there, trying to prevent a foul out on second-hand Smoke.
Minnesota's coach, Dancy Gravity, as well as their co-captain, Medusa, out there talking to the officials. Ole's coach comes in as well. And we'll see what has changed, if anything. We'll get a report very soon.
And Ole taking a hard hit and losing Skara to death to potential injury as she was wheeled off in a wheelchair. And we will give you updates as soon as we have any information on her. We'll see if Ole can shake it off. Ole known for their business-like stature. Hockey Honey with a nice force out on Jukebox as Chikachula recycles in front of her. Hockey Honey again with a nice hit to the infield, staying on top of Jukebox. Atomatrix pulls through, takes lead jammer status for the Ole Rollers. And
a bit of a pile up there in turn 2. Jukebox once again having to get from the back of the pack, trying to cut through. Already 5 points for Ole this jam. Jukebox on her initial pass.
Hockey Honey now sitting in the penalty box number 7 for the Ole Rollers. Atomatrix going in for another potential scoring pass. Huge takedown on Jukebox to the infield. Atomatrix now going to pull around.
And a forearm major on number 13, Chikachula.
Atomatrix with another 5-point scoring pass on behalf of the Ole Rollers. Jukebox now trying to get around Sassy number 2 and Echo number 1972 for the Ole Rollers.
And a nice little move there with a flourish. Jukebox does finally get through and the crowd goes pretty wild.
Atomatrix with a nice hop and juke to the right as she tries to go through, and nice lateral movement to the left. She pulls on the inside lane to pull another 4 points for the Ole Rollers, bringing them to 144. Minnesota 56.
4 points for Minnesota, 4 points for Jukebox there. As Atomatrix re-enters at the back of the pack, we're going to see what happens. Oh, Shiver Me Kimbers just called out to the box. Nice attempt at a force cut there by Naughty Kitty, who actually went forward and didn't go backward. Trying to fool Atomatrix did not work. 0 points on that last pass for both Ole Rollers at 146. And there's going to be the replay here as Atomatrix does make it through and is called lead jammer. Nice big smile on her face. And we have a Minnesota timeout. Minnesota with 2 timeouts remaining. 19 minutes, 36 seconds to go. Are you tired of sliding through slippery corners? You should try the new Radar Villain wheel. You can find out more information at really any tournament near you or at radarwheels.com. You can also get all your tournament merchandise from all 4 2012 regional playoffs and championships at the merch booth if you're here, or if you're coming here tomorrow, then I'm sure it'll be up online at WFTDA.com. You can remember these amazing times. You can remember this magical evening for forever.
You can also talk to us at hashtag WFTDA. Talk to WFTDA.
Number 2. Hockey Honey now with 4 trips to the box for Oli. She leads Oli in trips to the box. Again, that stat that you really don't want. Secondhand Smoke
not
with
the
5.
coveted place to be.
And we begin again.
Yeah, on the slide. Tries to go initially to the right on the outside, switches it up, goes to the left for the inside. She gets shut down at the back of the pack. Tannibal Lecter.
Oh, and we have a major track cut called on Harmony Killebrews. Certainly not what Minnesota needs right now. 19 minutes to go. Down by about 80-some points here.
And I believe that track cut may have been forced by Tannibal Lecter, number 9 for the Oli Rollers. Psychobabble working with Chika Chula and Lil Tonka, the captain, at the front of the pack. And now the pivot onto slide, pulls through to take lead jammer status. Tannibal Lecter now holding the back line. She tries to break in and create some space.
Runs right into the back of Gertrude Stein, but ended up going around. Gets tipped out there by, Diamond Ruff, who is then called for it.
And that's 5 points on the scoreboard for number 66 on to slide for the Oli Rollers. She's now looking for a window through the 2 skaters at the front.
Shiver McKimber's back in for Minnesota, so Minnesota still at 3 blockers. Oli at their full 4. Spoke too soon, as Crust Almighty also is going to take a trip to the box. So it'll be a quick second minivan situation in favor of Oli.
And we do have Harmony Killebrew standing up for her 10 seconds. We are going to start off the next jam initially in a power jam, but that's going to come to a
pretty quick end.
Absolutely. Oli sitting at 156 points, Minnesota at 60, 17 minutes, 57 seconds left on the second period clock. Oli able to maintain and keep their penalties fairly low. We have Sassy with 3 trips to the box, Psychobabble with 3 trips, and again, the leader with 4 trips to the box is Hockey Honey. Derange is going to bust through the 2-wall to pick up lead jammer status. Number 27 for the Oli Rollers. Hockey Honey, Sassy, Echo, and Joy Collision working the back of the pack. Pack advantage in favor of
Oli. Wow. No. I'm sorry, that was crazy. Harmony Killers came out of the box there, decided to do a little defense, tries to get through right behind Oli's jammer, takes a hit to the face, uncalled by the refs, and is not too happy about it as she keeps on communicating with the refs when she really should be concentrating on getting through.
Joy Collision now sitting in the penalty box for the Oli Rollers. Pack advantage in favor of Oli, 3-on-2. We do have Diamond Ruff, though, standing. She's the pivot for Minnesota, standing up in the penalty box. She's getting close to the end of her penalty. Tannibal Lecter, number 9, is going to jam for the Oli Rollers, going up against number 13, Medusa.
And Shiva Shankin was called on her 4th minor. She was already sitting down on the team's box. So she takes Diamond Ruff's seat.
Tannibal Lecter going to force her way around on the outside lane to pick up lead jammer status for the Oli Rollers. Chika Chula, number 13, headed to the penalty box for the Oli Rollers. She's going to join Joy Collision. Intended Anger, Lil Tonka working the back of the pack. They're going to try to stay in front of Diamond Ruff.
Very light packs here. The 2 blockers on each, but Crust Almighty makes it 3 for Minnesota as she comes out of the box.
4 more points on the scoreboard for Oli, but 4 more points as well for Medusa, number 13 for Minnesota. Tannibal Lecter now going to encroach on the back of the pack. She's going to make her way through, or try to make her way through right through the center. She gets shut out.
Slowing her down, trying to slow her down just enough.
And I think it was quick enough that she called off the jam, preventing Minnesota from putting points on the scoreboard on that scoring pass. We now have Olympia, the Oli Rollers, 169, Minnesota 64. 15 minutes, 35 seconds left on the second period clock.
Atomatrix on the line for Oli up against Harmony Killebrews. So a little update on Scared to Death. The concern is below the right knee. They're currently applying ice to reduce swelling. But they're going to see if, it's just kind of a wait and see kind of thing. Not scary enough to immediately take her to a medical facility. But just want to give you guys an update that she is doing fine right now. We'll see what happens, though.
Animatrix maintaining balance on one skate. Jukebox pulling out in front of her, knocking out her bounds, but she takes herself out of play as well. So Animatrix free and clear to re-enter the track in front of her. A huge takedown on Harmony Killer Brews by Hockey Honey, number 7 at the back of the pack. Hockey Honey just sits on top of her. Animatrix now trying to go through on a scoring run. She gets shut to the infield by Shiva Shankin.
Yeah, and near at the back of the pack there was Hockey Honey and Harmony Killer Brews. They were exchanging blows and exchanging words. There was Harmony was not too happy about any of those hits, and she let Hockey Honey know it.
Ole at 177 points, Minnesota at 64, 14 minutes, 13 seconds left on the second period clock.
Yep, so that's a 113-point lead for the Ole Rollers. Minnesota has 2 timeouts. Ole has 3.
They're going to field Deranged, number 27 for the Ole Rollers. She's thus far put up 36 points on the scoreboard for the Ole Rollers. Lexi Cuter, number 187 for Minnesota, has put 14 points of her own.
And Hockey Honey is, we have an official timeout. Hockey Honey is in the box for the Ole Rollers, as is Secondhand Smoke. Secondhand Smoke is standing, but she has 6 trips to the box. If she gets one more, she is going to go out of here. She's going back to the team locker room. Atom Wheels is a proud partner and the official wheel of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. The Pilot F16 plate system, you can pick your price and your performance. It's brought to you by Atom Wheels, atomwheels.com.
Deranged and Lexi Cuter both favoring the outside lane there. Oh, nice shutdown on Deranged by Scarman Electra.
Who moonwalks back. Lead jam Minnesota. Lead jam Lexi Cuter.
Tiana Electra, number 9, headed to the penalty box for the Ole Rollers. She's going to join Hockey Honey, number 7. Pack advantage here in favor of Minnesota. We haven't seen that in a while.
That's right. Secondhand Smoke came back in and was full for a while, but now Naughty Kitty is heading to the box. Just her second trip to the box tonight. Oh! Nice move, a nice skip there by Lexi Cuter. 5 points for Minnesota. The grand slam for Minnesota. Deranged on her tail. Lexi Cuter making some sign language up here, talking to her skaters. Scarman Electra has to hit the box, but there's no room at the end. She rejoins Lexi Cuter. One more 4-point pass. 4 points for Ole as well, as Deranged has made it through.
Lil Tonka and Psychobabble working the front of the pack on behalf of the Ole Rollers. Nice sternum check there by Lil Tonka. Lil Tonka, number 3. Deranged trying to skirt around on the inside. She gets actually knocked in by that choice.
And another penalty there. This time, number 21. That is Psychobabble, who's going to be taking a seat for Ole. Penalties are really racking up here near the end of the game for both teams. Naughty Kitty in the box, and Secondhand Smoke has gone to the box, and that is going to end her appearance in this game. She has to go back to the team locker room, the Minnesota locker room, as she has accrued her 7th trip to the box.
Here's an interesting choice for the Ole Rollers. We're going to have number 43, Stella Baracha, dying the star. We haven't seen her yet take the Jammer helmet cover on behalf of Ole.
Well, this time it was Medusa. Medusa makes it through for Minnesota.
Stella Baracha.
Stella at the back of the pack. Stella now trying to get through that light Minnesota pack here. Scarman Electra and Diamond Ruff. Only 2 Minnesota blockers out here. Medusa now on her scoring pass, trying to make it through as Naughty Kitty comes out and gets a little push to the side for that the rest of the Ole blockers. Scarman Electra now finally able to take her penalty time. Medusa passes. Medusa 5 points. Grand slam for Minnesota.
Scarman Electra now sitting in the penalty box, the pivot for Minnesota. Stella Baracha finally threw on her initial pass. Stella Baracha actually previously skating 2 seasons with the Rat City Roller Girls, so she also transferred earlier this season to the Ole Rollers. We now have Echo, number 1972, headed to the penalty box for Ole.
Yep, and looks like Medusa did call it off a little too early to get any points on that last jam, but stopped Stella from scoring any as well. Minnesota now stands at 78 points. Ole Rollers at 181. in this, the 16th jam of the second period.
Derange, number 27, is going to hit the jammer line for the Ole Rollers. Going right up against Harmony Killebrews, number 75. There's the immediate second whistle. Derange trying to go around on the outside. She gets shut down by Gertrude Stein, recycling her to the back of the pack.
Psychobabble re-enters for Ole. Echo is in the box for Ole, as well as Scarman Electra from Minnesota. Oh! She was just a little bit off her skates there, and it caused a tumble. Goes out. Was knocked out by Deranged, but then Deranged ended up going out the outside, so no track cut for Harmony Killebrews.
And Gertrude Stein with just a hefty hit on the straightaway on Deranged right after that, so Deranged taking another spill right on the straightaway. Now Deranged playing through on the inside. We're going to get a high block major
high block
called
major
on Psychobabble.
And she's laughing about it. That's great. All right.
Lil Tonka.
Harmony calls it off. 5 points.
Minnesota now all rushing the line here to take that back position.
Minnesota now less than 100 points behind, so that's always good. 83 points to Ole's 181. Psychobabble in the box for Ole. Minnesota has a clear box.
All right, Town of Electra, number 9, jamming for the Ole Rollers. Lexicutor, number 187 for Minnesota. Lexicutor trying to make that easy skip right through the middle of the pack. Joy Collision pulls out in front of her. Sassy then maintains position, the pivot for the Ole Rollers in front of Lexicutor.
Lexicutor just trying to get by. Wow, some fantastic blocking by Sassy. Lexicutor finally gets through. Lead jammer Minnesota.
There's a reason why Sassy was nominated MVP Best Blocker Championship several years ago. Town of Electra now through on her initial pass. We're going to have Joy Collision, number 747, headed to the penalty box to join Psychobabble, number 21.
Gets through, picks up 4 for Minnesota and calls it off. MVP voting is open. You can vote for your favorite blocker and your favorite jammer of this tournament. You can go to WFTDA.com/MVP. Make your voice heard. The fan vote will be mixed in with the vote from the announcers, the vote from who else? Tons of people, tons of different folks. But it's very important to get the fans' opinion, because a lot of times you are seeing things that we don't see here up on the dais.
Deranged now, the jammer for the Ole Rollers, acting as a blocker. She tries to sit on top of Medusa. Medusa looking for an assist on the outside line from their pivot.
And now, she goes down there. Shiva Shankin, but gets right back up again.
Lil Tonka, the pivot there for the Ole Rollers, trying to assist Deranged in the middle of the pack. Huge pileup there at turn 4.
Finally has gotten through. Finally, Deranged has gotten through, but she passed one player out of bounds. So, he does not get the jam. That honor falls to Medusa, who wisely calls it off. Minnesota takes the line with a full complement of skaters. Joy Collision still in the box for Ole.
And the winner of this bout, either Ole or Minnesota, will skate at 6:30 p.m. against Texas Roller Girls, who defeated Bay Area in the previous bout, 216 to 161. So the person who comes out on top here then will have to skate up against Texas.
Yep.
Intended Anger gets forced out on the straightaway, number 911 for the Ole Rollers.
Psychobabble pushing her way through, trying to get through, forcing her way through. Oh, Harmony Killebrews up on one skate, get pushed out, gets a whip from Jukebox, but no, Psychobabble has made it through, and is your lead jammer.
Intended Anger with a huge takeout on Harmony Killebrews.
Very nice hit, right in front of the penalty box there.
And Psychobabble now sitting on 5 trips to the box, and she is the jammer for the Ole Rollers. Town of Electra and Sassy working the front of the pack there. Intended Anger and Joy Collision now moving forward. Jukebox trying to sort of stay out in front, create some room for, and again, Intended Anger, 911, a huge hit on Harmony Killebrews.
Yeah, unfortunately for Harmony Killebrews, she didn't notice that she picked her up. She is passing the star to Diamond Ruff.
Diamond Ruff.
Her hands.
She raises the roof. Diamond Ruff now struggling. We're going to have Psychobabble number 21 pulling around on the outside. Diamond Ruff now struggling to get around Joy Collision. She's then handled by Crest Almighty. We do have 5 points on the scoreboard for number 21 Psychobabble for the Ole Rollers, bringing Ole to 186, Minnesota at 180 or at 87. Pardon me. 5 minutes 45 seconds left in the second period.
Psychobabble back in the pack trying to get through.
Diamond Ruff now contending with Sassy. Sassy forced to
Oh, but a major forearm penalty on Diamond Ruff. Crowd is not happy about that. Diamond Ruff takes a seat. Wow.
So we're going to start out this jam with Hockey Honey, number 7, with the star for the Ole Rollers, and Diamond Ruff sitting in the penalty box. The star was passed to her by Harmony Killebrews, number 75. She incurred a major forearm penalty, and she's now sitting in the penalty box. Power jam in favor of Ole. 5 minutes, 5 seconds left on the second period clock.
It looks like, I believe it was pointed at Ole taking their timeout here. Ole's taking their first of 3 timeouts. They lead by 100 points. There's 5 minutes, 2 seconds to go in this game. Yeah, you might remember if you watched the championship game of the North Central Regional Tournament between Minnesota and Windy City. Of course, in that first jam, Harmony Killebrew she broke a truck and was trying to get through, trying to kind of push on one skate to make her way through. Eventually gives it to Diamond Ruff, who ends up scoring 2 points for Minnesota and to the cheers of the crowd. But so Diamond Ruff is not new to getting that jam star in a situation such as this.
So pack advantage in favor of Minnesota with 4 blockers on the track to Ole's 2.
But jammer advantage to Ole by having 1 to Minnesota's 0.
Sometimes it works out that way.
For your league's printing and promotional needs, you should hit up Printco Graphics. Printco Graphics offers the best in printing for your roller derby team. From big to small, they got it all. PrintcoGraphics.com.
Now, again, it's like we're all praying to roller derby. Everyone on the track took a knee except for Hockey Honey. Sassy and Echo holding back. Hockey Honey gets recycled.
Trying to make her way through. Bridging now. First, Naughty Kitty. Nope. And they had to let her through. Lead jammer for Ole.
So Hockey Honey, part of that recent transfer situation as she actually returned. She was previously a member of the Ole Rollers and skated with them last season as well.
Living now in San Diego. Minnesota forming the Great Wall of St. Paul. Holding her back as much as possible. Shiva Shankin goes to the box, sits right down next to Minnesota's jammer. Yeah, that's right, you heard it right. Jammer, Diamond Ruff, who's now standing, as well as 2 Oles in the box. Diamond Ruff ready to re-enter, and she does.
So
Echo and Sassy notice.
And Tannable Lecter and Joy Collision both released from the penalty box, and they form that 4-wall. Oh, huge takedown by Tannable Lecter.
That was just perfect timing for that penalty to end for Ole. Echo was able to hold Diamond Ruff back for just a quick second to allow Ole's to get their last 2 blockers on the track and in front and take down Diamond Ruff.
And Ole is now pulled past the 200 mark. They're sitting at 202 points. Diamond Ruff unable to get in and put any points on the scoreboard after she was released from the penalty box. Hockey Honey definitively putting some points on the scoreboard for the Ole Rollers. She's now with 15 points. She's also sitting on 5 trips to the box.
Atomatrix going to be picking up her intentional 4th minor here. Joy Collision on the line for Ole, up against Lexicutor for Minnesota. Minnesota has 1 blocker in the box, that's Shiva Shankin. Ole has the full complement of blockers until Atomatrix takes a seat.
Joy Collision looking for an assist from Intended Anger 911. Intended Anger actually takes the spill before turn 1 for the Ole Rollers.
Lexicutor had the quick advantage, but Nat now is in the back behind her and makes it through. Joy Collision, your lead jammer for the Ole Rollers.
She pulled around Shiver Me Kimbers, number 667 for Minnesota, last line of defense. We do have Lexicutor now through on her initial pass as Joy Collision, number 747, now entering the pack on her scoring pass. The pivot Stella Baracha, number 43, headed to the penalty box to join Animatrix.
And Minnesota's crowd and Minnesota's bench kind of cheering like that was like they took the lead there, picking up those 4 points. And when you're at this kind of deficit this late in the game against a team as strong as Ole, a team that will most likely be moving on to the next round here, every single point you get is a victory. Every single point you get is a nice little. You're saying this coffin, you might be nailing it shut, but we have a hammer on the inside too, and we're nailing them out. Less than 2 minutes to go here in this game. 205-91 in favor of the Ole Rollers. Both teams with 2 timeouts. Minnesota gets lead jammer. That is Harmony Killebrews. Harmony Killebrews has so far led Minnesota, scoring 35 points of Minnesota's 91. And now she's going to add a few more to that total.
Ole's jamming Chika Chula.
Oh, some nice moves there. The slalom skiing of Harmony Killebrews. 5 big roller derby points. That is a grand slam for Harmony Killebrews, and she's going to try this again.
Chika Chula.
Boom, 5 more points.
As Chika Chula is still trying to make it through on her initial pass, she's hung up with that huge wall of Minnesota. Harmony Killebrews with the full 5 points on the scoreboard, bringing Minnesota to 101 points.
Yeah, I know Minnesota wanted to take this little, their victory from last night against KC, when KC finished very strong at the end to show them, hey, we're not dead yet. Minnesota's going to take this, seems to take this last jam exactly that same way.
Tannibal Lecter working with Animatrix as she was released from the penalty box for the Ole Rollers. We're going to have Lil Tonka, number 3, going to the penalty box for Ole. Harmony Killebrews trying to get around Stella Baracha. Tannibal Lecter, they're forced to allow her to go.
And another grand slam, another 5 points for Harmony Killebrews.
Chika Chula now going to try to run a block there at the back of the pack. She actually skirts around. She's going to get through on her initial pass, so she went in to do some defensive movement there, and it worked out in her favor, and she took advantage and went on the inside line. Animatrix, Stella Baracha working the front of the pack. Jukebox going for an assist here. They're going to try to stay in front of Chika Chula's Harmony Killebrews.
And we have a timeout with 5 seconds to go in this period. Minnesota takes a timeout. They're 99 points behind. You know, there's no, hey, we're going to get a 99-point jam here. But they, once again, they want to finish strong. They want to say, you know what? This is Minnesota. We came here to play. We did an excellent job. They've taken on, you know, one of the World Championships teams, the team that has gone to the championships the last 3 years. And with this kind of vector, they seem to be on their way to another. Could they make it to the championship game 4 years in a row? They're going to have to contend with Texas next, but not before this last jam from Minnesota.
And interestingly enough, in August, the same weekend that Minnesota came to Olympia, Texas also came to Olympia. So it's a repeat of late in the season for the Ole Rollers. Ole defeating Texas that weekend as well. So Ole going forward looking to maintain that balance and come out victorious potentially over the Texas Roller Girls.
Yeah, and that's a great, it was, you know, a great strategy by Ole by playing teams that they could face in championships. Minnesota did the same thing, wanting to go out and take on really, really tough teams in the latter half of the season when the rankings don't matter anymore.
Animatrix trying to push through on the inside. She changes up her strategy. She gets pushed to the infield there.
Lexecutor gets the last lead jam of the game, and this crowd is going wild. We can barely hear a thing normally through these amazing thick headphones that we're wearing, but we can hear it when that crowd is that loud.
And all of the bench of Minnesota there were, you know, cheering on their jammer.
A little tap out by Joy Collision, but gets right past. 4 points for Minnesota, 4 points for Lexecutor.
Intended Anger joining Tannibal Lecter in the penalty box as Lil Tonka, number 3, released to join the reinforcements there for the Ole Rollers. We're going to have Animatrix pull through for 4 more points on the scoreboard for Ole.
Lexecutor making her play. Gets past.
The period clock has come to an end, so it's...
Nope. She was about to call it off because she was 4 points ahead, looked at her coach and her team, and they said, nope, you're going to keep on skating. Keep skating this. Score as many points against Ole as you possibly can.
Tano Lecter released from the penalty box. Adametrix.
Oh!
Huge takedown on Adametrix there at the apex between turn 1 and turn 2.
And a minor track cut there on Lexicutor. She's got to really watch herself. She doesn't want to end this jam sitting down. 31 seconds to go in this jam.
Adametrix going to pull through on a scoring pass, as well as Lexicutor. So 4 points.
Picks up 4.
4 points for both jammers, both Adametrix 0-3 and Lexicutor number 187. Intended aimer Lil Tonka at the back of the pack as Tannibal recycles back. We're going to have Lil Tonka hitting the track, and we're going to get a low block major. This is now a power jam for the last 6 seconds for Adametrix.
And to say the crowd did not agree with that call would be putting it mildly.
Adametrix with 5 more points,
and that's gonna seal it. Ole Rollers now moving on to the semifinals against Texas at 6:30 tonight. Well, Ole has proven tonight that not only are they great skaters, but they've learned to play roller derby with the best of them. That was the dig on Ole for the longest time. Is all they had was fast skaters, but Hockey Honey, amazing. On to Sly, amazing. Coming out through here, Hockey Honey playing some amazing defense, and on to Sly, a fantastic addition from Slaughter County, was it?
Slaughter County.
Slaughter County. We saw her play at Ole back in August. And she was really the one to watch. It's really great to see skaters coming from these small leagues that are coming up into the big leagues and saying, you know what, I can hold my own with the best of them, and they did it fantastically. Ole Rollers 218, Minnesota 125. Thus, Minnesota's run for the championships ends here. Ole continues.
Danny Mack here with Tannibal Lecter. Tannibal, how does this feel? You guys got the victory. You're moving on to play Denver.
It feels really good. Normally, Ole always has a rough first game. I've been out for a while. We have some new skaters this night, and our first half was a little shaky, but I mean, it feels good to play again.
And by Denver, I mean Texas, actually. Denver's
Minnesota?
coming up. Yeah, Denver's coming up here pretty shortly. But again, you guys really clamped down. There's about a 10-minute period in going from the first half into that second half where you kept a very powerful Minnesota offense from scoring. Strategically, how did you pull that off?
I really don't know, to be honest with you. Sometimes you just gotta look at the floor and you all kind of think about doing the same thing at the same time, and it worked. And then sometimes you just kind of fall apart. I think it just clicked for us for, when the time crunch comes.
Yeah. And I've got to ask, you're 22 days removed from having a kid. You're back on the floor. How the heck did you pull that off?
Well, I only had 2 practices before I came. I didn't like sitting on the sidelines this year, and I told myself, regardless of how I had this kid, I was going to put my skates on. And when I went for my checkup, my doctor's like, you can't skate. And I said, well, if I can't skate, what's the worst that can happen to me? And he's like, are you serious? And I said, well, either way, I'm going to skate, so tell me how to prevent any injury. And he goes, wear a hernia brace because you have no abdominal muscles. So that's what I did, and I'm here.
Unbelievable. Now, Texas is coming up. You guys have beaten them once this season. You've beaten them 4 times in the past as well. What can you take from this year into that matchup? They are a hot team coming off of a 60-point deficit win.
Yeah, Texas is always one of those teams where I think every team has a good game and has a bad game.
Sure.
When we played in them in August, I think our roster was a little bit different, as everyone may know. But coming into this, they definitely stepped up their game since August. When people come play us, normally they play Rat City or Portland and stuff, so they're pretty tired by the time they get to us. But I mean, it's gonna be a great game, I think, and I think we're all here for the same reason. So it's do or die for everyone, especially if it's going into that championship game.
Tannibal Lecter and Ole moving on. I appreciate your time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks.